Alright guys, so let's focus on how to find the volume of different shapes, starting with the cylinder. So we have a basic cylinder there, and the way you always start is with your formula chart. There's always a formula for these shapes, so in this case volume is a key word, and volume of a cylinder, notice that there's two formulas on this formula chart, but it starts off with this one. This means volume equals area of the base times the height. Now you'll notice this blue formula that I have over here, it's been adjusted. You see, my cylinder has a circular base. So because of that circular base, what I do is I adjust the formula for my circular base. And the area of a circle is pi r squared. So this is the formula I'll be using, pi r squared times the height. Now, all you simply got to be able to do to use it is identify r and h. So if you look at your image, what is my r for radius? Remember, radius has to go halfway through the circle. So 5 inches is already going halfway, so I'll use 5, and my height is 6. So just go and sub in. So it'll be pi 5 squared times 6. Now, as far as the answers goes, there's going to be two ways to get this. Here's your more traditional method. So we go to our calculator, we'll just type in the formula. I recommend that you type it in the way you wrote it down. So pi 5 squared and then times 6. Notice how it's typed in exactly the way I wrote it. So one of my answers is 471 and to the nearest tenth, 0.2. Now this answer is correct, but there is another answer I want to be aware of. I'm going to work out the same problem. In fact, I'll just copy that. And I want to work it out in terms of pi. When I say in terms of pi, that means you work it out without the pi. So my other answer is actually 150 pi. Instead of multiplying the pi, you just bring it down. And then of course, you don't want to forget your units cubed. So this is a basic idea of how you're going to be solving cylinders. And I'll go through several examples, both fully worked out like the first one, and then in terms of pi like the second one. We don't know which type you're going to be having to get at the end, so we just do both. And then you should know that these two answers mean the same thing. So if we try this next one, notice that this cylinder is lying down. Hopefully it doesn't confuse you. As far as the formula goes, it's the same formula from the formula chart. I'm still dealing with the volume of a cylinder. So I start off with this, but we really know it's going to become pi r squared times the height. As far as r and h, be careful. If it helps and you want to just tilt your head or turn your paper, it's easy to stand out. But be careful when the shapes are lying in different positions. As far as the radius goes, remember it's half the distance across the circle. So not 8, but actually 4. And as far as my height goes, this one's 12. So I'll go sub in. Now it's got my formula nice and set up already, so I know exactly what goes where. And type that in. So in this case, the answer fully worked out would be pi 4 squared times 12. And so one of my answers is this. To a nearest tenth, I put 603.2. And don't forget your units cubed to show that it's volume. Now my other answer, the same answer but in a different format, take out the pi and it'll be the same as 192. Don't forget to bring down your pi. So 192 pi units cubed. And there you go. Now, how about this shape here? So notice I changed the shape. I'm still asking you for volume. So go back to your formula chart. There's still the volume section here, but I'm not asking for cylinder, I'm asking for cone. So the original formula starts off with 1/3 area of the base times the height. But I'm going to go ahead and change that to 1/3. Notice my circular base will become pi r squared times the height. And then to use the formula, find r, find h. So what's my radius here? That line there already goes halfway, so it'll be 1.5. And my height will be 4. So once I got that, sub it in where it belongs. So 1/3 pi, instead of r, I'll say 1.5. Don't forget squared. And then in place of h, I'll put 4. And there you have it. The rest gets typed in. So very careful not to forget your 1/3. A lot of people do. That's why we always use the formula chart. We want to make sure we have it readily available. You don't want to, you can memorize it, but it's really not recommended. You can use it on your star, so use it. Be ashamed to get the wrong formula just because you were too lazy to go check the formula chart. So make sure you use that. So here's one of my answers, fully worked out. And my other answer, same thing, except I'll go and work it out without the pi. And my other answer would be 3 pi. So fully worked out, 9.4 inches cubed. In terms of pi, 3 pi. And again, realize these are the same answers. In fact, if I type in 3 pi, notice, oh, type that in wrong. So 3 pi, notice I get the same answer as before because it really is the same thing. So let's try another cone, but this time notice there's a third number. That's different. But as far as the volume goes, I'll start with the same formula. I'll adjust it for the circular base, so pi r squared times the height. Of course, my formula chart had that here, so when I know where to go look for it. And I need r and h. Now, r is easy. That's 3. 6 goes all the way across, so that's diameter. Half of that, the radius, is 3. Now, which of these two numbers that I have left is the height? See, careful with the 11, because that's what we're going to call our slant height. That's not what I'm looking for in this formula. The height should always be straight up and down. So my height is going to be 9 here. And so I'll substitute in what I know. Plug in the 3, plug in the 9, the rest you type in. And like I said before, the way you type it is the way you wrote it. So 1/3. Then we got parentheses, pi, 3 squared times the height of 9. And so that's my first answer, fully worked out. And my second answer, of course, same thing, but without the pi. We get 27. So both of these are going to be true. And you won't always need to work out both methods, but you never know which type of answer choice you may come across. All right, now, a sphere. So the volume of a sphere, the good thing is on this formula, there is no special adjustment to it. You just got to use it. Now, the formula is going to be volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. You want to be careful with the cubed. A lot of students make the mistake of forgetting that cubed piece. So make sure you add that in there and make sure you type it in when you work it out. So as far as using the formula, all you need is r. 3 feet is already halfway, so that's my radius. And then you just sub in. Easiest formula to use. Pi, and then instead of r, I'll use 3 cubed. And I'll type that in. So again, be careful that when you type it in exactly the way you wrote it. So 4/3 pi r cubed. And there we go. So I get 113.1 to the nearest tenth. And then my other answer in terms of pi, do the same problem without pi, is going to give me 36. So my answers here are 113.1 cubic feet or 36 pi. And then of course there's a bunch of ways I can put feet cubed or cubic feet, but you always want to make note that it is a volume question. Okay, so this has been a basic review on how to use your volume formulas. And then before I end this, I just want to show you some quick examples that you may come across, such as these. So let's look at these special shapes real quick. You could have something like that. Notice that it's a sphere, but not exactly. It's half a sphere. So if you can imagine what you'd have to do to that formula to make it work. You could also have something like this, half a cylinder. So you can use your regular formulas, they would just have to be adjusted. You may even have one like this here. Notice that on this one, you would have to get the two volume formulas and actually subtract them. So the formulas can change depending on what you're doing. You can have different composite figures. And then this last one, it's a pencil, but the idea is there. This would actually be three shapes. See, the eraser piece would be half a sphere. The long part of the pencil would be your cylinder, and then the tip of the pencil would make a cone. So that would require you to add three formulas. So depending on what type of image you have. Alright guys, so this has been a quick review on how to use volume formulas.